can't even figure yourself out. Why are you further complicating everything that you haven't figured out? I'll never understand why people have sex without figuring themselves out. Now you're using this other person to help you figure yourself out. That's your job, that's your job, that's your job. That's not anybody else's job. And everything you do will reflect back to you. Your lack. Everything will reflect back. Your inability to contact yourself. Doesn't matter how many times you read that Eckhart Tolle. Doesn't matter how many times you go to that 12-step cult. You'll still be just as fucked up as you were. Well, actually, I take that back. Even more so, because you've added. I'm trying to come up with like a motto for this. I need to watch this movie again. This movie, y'all gotta watch it. It's hilarious. It's called The Birdcage. It was made a long time ago. Robin Williams, Nathan Lane, Gene Hackman. It's hilarious. It's about, I promise this relates to what I'm talking about. It's about this gay couple. Robin Williams plays the owner of this gay club. It's like a drag, it's like a drag bar or something. And this was long before the T's nuked the fuck out of the LGBT community. Alright, so Gene Hackman plays this really conservative senator, and his daughter is engaged to this gay couple's son. Okay, Nathan Lane is the lover of Robin Williams, who owns the club, and he's like the star drag queen. And they have to play it off that like they're not gay. That's why this is the funniest movie ever made, okay? And there's this scene in the movie where like they're cleaning up the house to make it seem less gay. And and like they keep adding things to the rooms. Like they keep adding like some giant crucifix. And they're like this is so funny. Like pornographic magazines. They put like straight pornographic magazines in the bathroom, and the son of this gay couple who's engaged, he's like, stop adding. And that's what this reminds me of. Like, because it's like people that feel the need to add things are really just proving that they're whatever they're running away from. You know? Like, just like this movie's example, like if you try too hard, it's really obvious that you're not whatever you say you are. You know? And I see that with like the LGBT, I see that with a lot of people in the black community that, you know, act like certain elements of the stereotype, they're totally fine with. Other elements they're not. But like, I just find it really interesting, like how much people desperately try to prove something about themselves, about whatever they want to believe, and it just proves the exact opposite. You know, I mean, like feminists. Feminists are a good example of this. And I'm not saying all of them do this, but most of them do this, especially now, where they're just constantly bitching about men. And now you have these so-called anti-feminists that are doing the same thing about women. And y'all know my grievances with women. Y'all know that I think that women are a huge part of the problem most of the time. But that doesn't mean that we're always wrong about everything, you know? So I think that if people were a little bit more nuanced, if they were a little bit more open-minded, they would be able to solve all their problems. But when you become convinced of a particular thing, when you become convinced of a narrative, whether that narrative is about yourself or about the world that you live in, it's very difficult to break that. And people that they use these things to define themselves. They use these things to define their world, which is why this is a very interesting and very terrible time to be alive, because it seems like that's shattering. You know, people aren't capable of lying to themselves the way that they used to be. And the ones that are just making it so obvious that they're full of shit. They're making it so obvious that, you know, they don't give a fuck about the truth, and they don't give a fuck about right and wrong, and they don't give a fuck about what happens to children. So, you know, I don't give a fuck about them either. Like, as far as I'm concerned, they deserve, blah, 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 they deserve to die a slow and horrible death, okay? But, anyway. That you hate yourself, you make it obvious, you make it obvious. You really need the turn signal. They know where you're going, because there's nowhere else you can go. Let's see what time it is. Let's see if I am reasonably on time. Oh my gosh, it's 11:02. Yeah, the reason why I'm so hard on society is because I still have a flip phone. So I'm allowed to bitch at people for not adhering to anything that they say, because it's like, yeah, I'm living proof of the fact that, you know, resilience is way cooler than the alternative. All right? Like, that's why I'm all bent out of shape about drug use, because I'm like doing the same thing that I complain about. Like, I've added to my brain complications by using drugs to sort of like make sense out of my experience. And I really don't need to do that anymore, because I think that I understand it pretty well, but it's more of like the threshold that it has over me. And it's not because I'm just some druggie. It's because there's something about it that's enjoyable, you know, otherwise I wouldn't keep going back to it. There's something about it that lures me in, and I don't know if that means that I'm just weak-minded or something. Yeah, but the thing is, like, you've quit You've quit all these things. Yeah. So, obviously it's not a lure that you can't get away from. It's not an allure, rather. So it's possible to avoid these things. Yeah, it's weird. Like, because I've always been really aware of, like, how our reality is manipulated and how, they use drugs to try to control, like, our concept of reality, and so that's why they don't want us to use certain drugs that expose us to that manipulation tactic of theirs, okay? That's why the government had to fuck with LSD, because they realized, like, the spiritual benefits of using that drug, and so they're like, okay, we have to jack this up and use it to control our soldiers. I don't know why anybody supports the military. I mean, I think that people that support the military are just really ignorant about what they do. And if I say that out loud, people think that I just hate the country or something. Well, what does that say right there? You really think that our military-industrial complex is the well-regulated militia that the Second Amendment describes? I don't think so. And once again, back to the identity crap, it's like people don't question their little narrative. The same way that the leftists don't question climate change, people on the right don't question their patriotism. They don't question wars. They don't question the authority that the military has or the authority that the police have. Because they're afraid of certain groups of people, i.e. blacks, okay? They're afraid of those groups of people. And so, literally every single time that they push some stupid leftist policy that doesn't fucking work, then what do? They increase the fucking police force. Because they have to. And they knew that they would have to do that. That's why they did it. But anyway, I just think it's really annoying, like, how boring everybody is, and how, like, easily convinced they are of something that might be a quarter of the way true, but everything else about it is bullshit. So that's gaslighting, right? That's gaslighting. But good luck trying to convince somebody they've been gaslighted literally every second of the day, every day of their life. It's pretty difficult to get across to most people. Now, I've been told by many that I can change people's minds. I wish that I could change people's minds about the stuff I want to change their minds on. You know? Literally, if it's mainstream, it's wrong. If the mainstream is saying it, it's fucking wrong. Okay? Just know that. If it's popular, it's wrong. If a lot of people are doing it, all those people are dumb. Okay? Now, I know this doesn't sound very nuanced, but... well, there's a reason why Trump called the mainstream the lamestream, okay? Because these are people that don't think. Alright, liberals. How I define a liberal is completely different from the way that liberals are defined. Because my mom is a liberal and she votes Republican.
But she goes along with anything she's told to go along with. It doesn't matter how stupid it is, doesn't matter how senseless it is, it doesn't matter if we weren't going along with this, 2 days ago. So I think the liberalism is more about societal acceptance. It's more about social approval than anything else. And so in a way, meow. Meow, meow. That was my manager. In a way, I think that conservatives fall into that trap just as much as liberals do, especially when it comes to their unbridled support of the military and the police, which will be used against them. I don't expect them to see that because of their unbridled love for this country, and they don't even really understand it. They think this place is supposed to be a fucking melting pot or some shit. It's really not. It's really not. They screwed it all up enslaving black people for as long as they did. They could have just sent them back to Africa, but they didn't, because they knew that it would mess up the demographics of this country way more. And no, y'all know I love black people, so this isn't against them. I'm just saying that the people that run things know what they're doing, and they know why they're doing it. And keep this in mind, that a lot of these things aren't about right now, they're about later. Later on, this policy will take effect, and it will be way worse than you think it is now. That's the whole point. They're following a script, much like the people that read the Bible. That's why it's called scripture.